Hello, today is August the 11th, 2025. This is Pastor Zimmerman of I Saw the Light Ministries. The breaking news today that I'm talking about is that Trump has put the Washington, D.C. Police Department under federal control. And he is sending the National Guard to Washington, D.C. This is historical and major news, absolutely major. Of course, the demon rats, they are being paid and shipped in to Washington, D.C. at this current time to protest in large numbers. And of course, even among the legitimate residents that are protesting, those are the people that are comfortable with the crime because that they are the ones committing the crime. Washington, D.C. crime rate is greater than the majority of other urban cities as an average. I believe I read that even a greater crime rate than Mexico. That would have to be examined to see if that's true, but I saw that claim. But what is not debatable is that the crime is totally out of control, absolutely, in Washington, D.C., as well as Chicago, Detroit, and other major urban populations that are Democrat controlled, and where a large percentage of the population are demon rats. So it's absolutely necessary for Trump to take control of Washington, D.C., to take these necessary steps to restore law and order to the nation's capital. That is absolutely necessary. It is not evil, but rather it is good and righteous and just. It is the people that do not like law and order that are protesting, as well as people that are being paid and shipped in to protest. Of course, they are paid by George Soros, Obama, Clinton, Biden, Harris, and the organizations that support those communist Nazis. But here's what we also need to consider. Trump is, in addition to taking necessary steps to protect the citizens and employees of the nation's capital city, but he's also preparing for the future dramatic events, huge events to still yet occur, or at least he's planning those events. Whether they actually occur or not, we'll have to wait and see. But in Trump's mind and in Trump's plans and goals, yes, these events are to proceed. And that includes the arrest of Obama and other elites that are communist Nazis that have done many things that are against the American Constitution and have committed treason repeatedly and gotten away with it. It's a very necessary thing for Trump to take the necessary measures to prepare the nation's capital for the future arrest for treason of these people that have purposely tried to destroy the American Constitution and the American way of life and the American family and American culture. In addition to securing the capital for the residents, citizens, and people that work there, and as well as preparing for the arrest of the Democrats, he's also preparing for federal takeover of Washington, D.C., to where it would no longer be run by local politicians elected by the Nazi residents of the city, but rather to bring the city, the capital, under federal control, rather than being a city, that it would return back to the original purpose, and that is to be the capital, to be a federal district. It's supposed to be the District of Columbia, not the City of Columbia. So it's a necessary thing for Trump to bring it back to federal control, so that these demon rats, Nazis, fascists, would not be able to control the city. Very necessary steps that he's taken. So it's multiple purposes. Multiple purposes. We need to understand this. I don't come to you today with prophecy or thus saith the Lord, but rather with common sense, eyesight, discernment, reasoning, proper brain function, which most people don't have, especially in the gangs and neighborhoods of Washington, D.C. The brains are not functioning correctly. So it's necessary to bring somebody on here, on the YouTube, and across the internet, speaking with a functioning brain, with reasoning and mental eyesight. Somebody that knows what they're talking about. Somebody with common sense and intelligence. And that's not what you're seeing on the streets of Washington, D.C., of these people protesting. They're brainwashed, they're programmed. They're nothing but robots that cannot think for themselves, but have been programmed to hate white people, to hate white men especially, and to hate Christians, to hate Jesus, to hate God, to hate everything that's good and right and decent. And it's time that they be locked up in the zoo. So we just got to say it where it is. I don't care who I offend, because the truth is the truth, regardless of how many people it offends. The truth must be spoken. Look what is happening in the UK right now, in Canada. People being arrested for speaking out, for speaking the truth, for standing their ground for righteousness. And if Americans are going to be afraid to speak the truth and afraid to offend, then the same thing will happen here in America, is that we will be rounded up and arrested, and the key will be thrown away. And guess what? That's already happened on January the 6th a few years ago, when the election was stolen from Trump, and Trump is very boldly and bravely at the current time finally speaking out. He finally has the power to speak out. He finally has the power and the authority to do what's necessary to restore the United States. Unfortunately, we know what happened to President Kennedy, and we know that Clinton and Obama are extremely powerful, and George Soros, these people, demon rats, are extremely powerful, and they will bring civil war, unfortunately, in response to Trump's righteous war. So these are tremendous events, and this is only the start, only the beginning, and we need to prepare spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and physically for the days ahead, because it's going to hit the fan. It's going to hit the fan. We need to prepare food and water supplies. You need to be thinking about how you're going to live without electricity, how you're going to live without a running toilet. You need to be thinking about these things now, because the Great Tribulation is near, and much more near now than ever before. Regardless of what nation you live in, you need to be thinking about these things and planning and praying and fasting, because what happens to America will affect the entire world. Always has, always will. So this is not limited to the United States. Look what happened right now in South Africa and South Korea. Both of those governments have been taken over by the Nazis, the 666 people, the people who hate Zionism, who hate the Jews, who hate God's chosen people, who hate white men, who hate Christians. This is happening in the UK, it's happening in Canada, South Africa. It did happen in America under the Obama years and the Biden years. And I'm fearful or concerned about, not fearful, but concerned about who's coming in after Trump. Because if there is another person after Trump, it's going to be the end of America very quickly, very swiftly. They will throw down the hammer. If there is another one after Trump in America, they will throw the hammer down, and us Christians and white men, there will be a mass genocide very quickly. It will be the Holocaust here in the United States under whoever follows Trump and Vance, if it's a demon rat. I don't come to you in prophecy, but in common sense and intelligence, looking at the lessons of history and looking at the events that are unfolding right now. And somebody must blow the horn, blow the shofar, because I see the sword coming upon the land, and it is destined by God, and it must be fulfilled, and the Great Tribulation must occur, and there must become an end to this very corrupt, very upside down world that we live in. So, kingdom come. Amen. Kingdom come. Thank you for watching this live broadcast of I Saw the Light Ministries. Please check out the website at isawthelightministries.com. This is Pastor Zimmerman checking out.